Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to be discussing all the NFL games during Week 5. So we're going to go ahead and get right into that. Right. So for our first game, we're going to go ahead and start out with that Ravens versus Bengals game. That game finished out 41-38 in overtime. So we're just going to go ahead and start off with Lamar Jackson. He had an incredible performance. He passed for 26 for 42 for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns. He did have a few rushing yards, but however at 55, but he did fumble once and he ended up losing it. But all in all, great game from him. Derrick Henry, 15 for 92, great job, as well as a touchdown on the night. As well as Zay Flowers having a great game with 11 catches for 111 yards. Great job from him. Kohler and Rashad Bateman both had touchdowns. Isaiah Likely with 2 touchdowns on the game. Great job from them as a whole. Game came down to a field goal in the overtime after back and forth overtime, including the fourth quarter. But first, we're gonna go ahead and get right into Joe Burrow, who also had an amazing game, going 30 for 39 with 392 passing yards, as well as 5 touchdowns. He did, however, throw a pick near the end of that game, which might have led to the Bengals ending up getting into overtime, which ended up causing the loss. But all in all, still a great game from him. Amazing game for Jamar Chase. 10 catches, 193 yards with 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins had his breakout game of the season with 9 catches for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just a great game overall. Sam Hubbard, solid game on defense as well. Definitely got to point out the defense, who did a great job. Kyle Hamilton also ended the game with a sack. Marlon Humphreys came away with that pick near the end of the game, which was very good for him. But all in all, great game that day. Very great game between the Ravens and the Bengals. So for our next game, we're going to go ahead and get into the Falcons-Bucks. Takeaway game from that is that the Falcons came in and beat the Bucks, with Kirk Cousins probably having the best game of his career, 509 passing yards with 4 touchdowns. Clearly far and away the best player of that game. And yeah, that's just all you can really say to that. Let's go ahead and get right into that Colts-Jags game, with the Jags shockingly coming out with the great win, 37-34. However, my biggest takeaway from that game was Joe Flacco with 359 passing yards with 3 touchdowns. No turnovers whatsoever. The Colts did a great job with getting him as a backup quarterback. That definitely helped, especially with what's his name? Anthony Richardson going down. That definitely helped a lot. So with him coming back, that should push Flacco back to the bench maybe, but maybe they should go another week with him. Despite the loss, he did have a great game, and he's been playing really well since Anthony Richardson has been out. And for our next game, we're going to go ahead and get to the Cardinals versus Niners with a most shocking win of the entire week, with the Cardinals coming away upsetting the Niners 24-23. Just the biggest takeaway from that game was just the Niners and their insane amount of turnovers. I believe Brock Purdy threw 2 picks, and there was a fumble that happened during the game. And while my memory is bad right now, I just remembered the Niners definitely were turning that ball over a lot during that game, and they could have easily beaten the Cardinals. But great game overall. I mean, to be honest with you, Kyler Murray had a very solid game. He had a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. I believe 195 passing yards. So, I mean, he did everything he was supposed to do to carry his team to the victory. So, great job for him. So, next, we're going to go ahead and get into the Commanders-Browns game. And that was just a travesty. The Commanders came away with that game 34-13, just insane. Deshaun Watson it may be time for the Browns to call this experiment off. Unfortunately, with the amount of money that he's making and all of it being guaranteed, it's looking like they're just stuck with him. Unless we see a turnaround at some point with his play, the Browns look like they have made the biggest blunder in NFL history with their insane contract that they gave Deshaun Watson. I mean, he gave absolutely nothing. Didn't even pass for over 100 yards. Barely rushed. Commanders' defense had him swallowed up the whole entire game. Amari Cooper couldn't even get going even slightly. So just great game from the defense as far as that. But Deshaun Watson has to step it up. Jaden Daniels, let's talk about him for the season. 4 total passing touchdowns on the season, with 4 rushing touchdowns on the season for 8 total. Only 2 interceptions, which are the only turnovers he has on the season. Great season from him overall. I'm looking forward to see how well he does against the Ravens this coming Sunday. So very, very excited to see how he does against another really good defense, because that Browns defense isn't that bad. They're actually pretty solid. So great job from Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. They just got to keep it going. But on to our next game. So for the Chiefs and Saints, we're going to get into that game next. The Chiefs came away with the win, 26-13. Amazing game from the Chiefs' elite defense and Steve Spagnuolo. Let's give him a round of applause for managing to keep this defense as great as they've been for these past few seasons. The way he's going, it's looking like he could possibly get another chance at being a head coach. But as of right now, he's still doing a great job as a defensive coordinator. So salute to him in that amazing defense. Kareem Hunt, great game for him. 27 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster had his best game in quite a while with 7 catches for 130 yards. So, I mean, great game from him as well. Just overwhelmed the Saints to the point where they could only barely get those 13 points. It's just insane what the Chiefs has been doing defensively this year. It's been very good. So we can just wait and see what, as far as that goes, and how long they can keep that up defensively on the season. So next up, we have the Cowboys Steelers. The Cowboys came away with the win, with the game going 20-17. Steelers' run game, I think, is the biggest takeaway from this one. Somehow, some way, they can barely get their rushing attack going. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but they have solid players there. They have a 1,000-yard rusher there as well in Najee Harris, who clearly can run the ball, and he has catching ability. So I'm just kind of surprised that they've been struggling with the running attack, but I'm not sure really. At some point, maybe it'll turn around, but who knows? Definitely got to fix what's going on with the third downs. That game, they were not converting any third downs. I believe they went 3 for 12 on third downs, which is disgusting. So many 3-and-outs during that game. It's sad. They could have easily beaten the Cowboys, but again, when your offense isn't going, you cannot depend on your defense almost the entire game to carry you. It's that often. But it's a long season. It's only been 5 games. We just have to wait and see if they can turn it around and make those adjustments. So for our next game, we're going to go ahead and get into the Giants Seahawks. The Giants came away with the win 29-20. Biggest takeaway from this game is Tyrone Tracy Jr. with his big breakout game so far as a rookie, with 18 carries for 129 rushing yards. Great game from him. Might be seeing more opportunities for him coming his way. Maybe Devin Singletary will probably take a step back as far as that's concerned, and maybe he'll get more playing time. We'll see but how that goes. Daniel Jones, great game from him. 23 23 for 34 with 257 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. No turnovers. Very good job from him. Darius Slayton, 8 for 122 yards and a touchdown. Great game for him. Just a good game all around for them. So next up, we're going to go ahead and get into that Broncos-Raiders game. Broncos easily got rid of the Raiders 34-18. Bo Nix had a very solid game, 19 for 27 for 206 yards with 2 touchdowns. But clearly that Broncos defense is really elite. 3 interceptions caught with 3 sacks. Just a great job stopping that Raiders defense. Offense, and just a great job overall. And for the Packers and Rams, the Packers ended up coming away with that win, 24-19. The only real takeaways from that is the Rams just need their receivers back because that offense is looking very stagnant. But great game and coming out party for Tucker Kraft, 4 catches, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. So great job for him and good congrats to the Packers. We're going to go ahead and get into that Bills-Texans game. Texans came away with that win, 23-20. Josh Allen looking really, really bad. Only went 9 for 30 on the game. 131 yards and 1 touchdown. I know he was injured, possible concussion. Recent reports said that it wasn't a concussion, but I don't know. 9 for 30 is showing possible concussion. But CJ Stroud, amazing game. 28 for 38 for 331 yards. He had a touchdown. He did throw a pick, but not that big a deal when you managed to beat the Bills. So especially, it was just a great game, to be honest. Stephon Diggs' revenge game. Great job for him. He had 6 catches for 82 yards. Great game for him. But let's go ahead and get on into that next one. It was that Panthers-Bears game. Bears easily decimating the Panthers 36-10. Very easy game. No competition, to be honest. Shout out to Caleb Williams. He went 20 for 29, 304 yards with 2 touchdowns. Great game for him. DeAndre Swift over these past 2 weeks has had a great games. I just need him to just keep staying consistent, because I know he's clearly a really good running back, and I know that he can be a consistently really good running back for this team. So as long as he keeps that up, that'll be perfect. And my biggest takeaway from this is the Panthers need new management and new ownership. That team is awful. Let's just pray that the team gets new ownership, because David Tepper has to go. But let's go ahead and get into that next game. Vikings and Jets. Vikings came away with the win against the Jets, 23-17. Aaron Rodgers is looking like it's time for you to go. I mean, just 3 turnovers, 2 passing touchdowns. Just did not look good. Just didn't look on the same page with his receivers. I'm not sure what happened in that game, but I'm not sure. We'll see as the season goes along. It's not looking like he wants to stay a Jet any longer, so we'll see how that goes for him. But the biggest story from the Jets, Robert Saleh got fired and just treated like trash. He got kicked out and escorted off the field when they were in practice, I believe, and they just escorted him out after being fired out of the facility, and just nothing. Saleh has had a great time as a coach, not wins and loss record wise, but at least getting that defense together, looking like the old Jets of the early 2010s and that late 2000s run with Mark Sanchez and having Rex Ryan on the crew. It just looked a lot better defensively, at least. I just wish he could have got that offense together, but I just wish he wasn't treated like dirt and they could have professionally just fired him and just asked him to leave. But it is what it is. That is all the games for this week. All I can say is I'm excited for week 6 games, and we're going to see how that goes. Thank you guys for listening. If you have any comments about any of the games, please leave them in the comments, and have a good day.